This is the fatherhood experience. Turn it up, cause tonight you'll learn how to leave behind the average dad life. This the fatherhood experience. It's time to lead my family and become the father figure I deserve to be. The fatherhood experience.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fatherhood Experience, where we help dads become better dads. We are your hosts, Jason Priest and Zach Smith, and we have a fantastic episode for you guys today. It's probably going to ruffle some feathers, but we don't care. You know, we're here to help you get better, and tough love is needed for the certain people in there and in the world, right? Like, the reality is not everybody loves tough love, but we're going to get into a little bit of that today because we're sick of excuses. We are not excuse makers ourselves, and we hate seeing guys continue to struggle when excuses are at the top of mind. So we're going to get into some of that. Just want to give a huge shout out to all you guys who continue to follow along with our mission. If you get any value out of today's show, we just ask that you share the show. That's all we want to do is help you get better. And if you know a man in your life, you know a dad in your life who you feel like could get better by listening to our show, please just share the show with them. We're never going to run ads. In fact, let me just share this with you guys. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and this gentleman is starting to run ads on his show, and he just started it. So in the beginning of the show, there was a big buildup about, I just want you guys to know that, you know, like, these are all brands that I've tried. And if I haven't tried the brand, I hit up my friends to make sure they've tried it so that I can promote it and be honest with you guys. And I was like pretty turned off by that. I'm probably not going to be listening to that show anymore. So I can't stand 30 minutes of ads on a 1.5 hour episode, because then I got to keep scrolling through the ads, which is a pain in my ass. And so we're not here to bore you with ads. We're here to add value to your life. And so if you do get value out of today's show or any of our shows, please just share the show. That's all we ask. So without further ado, let's jump in, dude. Zach, how's life, my man? That's my number one thing. I know that you were running on some fumes yesterday, in which you and I had some jokes around, because I got some of that going on in my house too. So how's life in Zach's world?
It's all right, man. A little bit busy, getting a little hectic, and going to be a lot more hectic once we have this baby girl in July, man. So this is perfect timing to talk about excuse making and doing the things that you know need to be done to get to where you want to go. Because although my life right now is very hectic, being pulled in many different directions, retraining my kid to go back to sleep and stay asleep by himself, because he can sleep by himself, but he comes into my room like 50 times at night, running on fumes every single day. A bunch of traveling. If the kid does end up in the bed, I'm stuck between a pregnant person and a kid who likes to have his feet on your back or your head. You know the pregnant person feeling. Wake up, hot, gotta do things for business. Yeah, you got to do like 40 different things. But look, I'm still going to the gym, right? And we've talked about this. I've been in a little bit of a funk for the last month or so, man. So all I need to do is find my bearings and find my momentum and start building on that once more. And that's what I'm doing yet again. But to open this up, man, this conversation, this podcast episode, this is going to be all about being a damn adult, and doing the things that you know need to be done, whether you feel like it or not, which is what? It's discipline, really what it is, man.
No, you know, first of all, I totally get it with the sleeping next to the pregnant person. That's only going to get worse, as you well know. I don't know if you remember far back with this, but the longer it goes, the more uncomfortable they get, the more hot they get. And like, it's just it's a funny that I can look back on that. Because I get it, dude. I will tell you that, and you know this, but for the listeners, Colin, my youngest son, is 2, and he has yet to sleep in his bed a full night. My wife was out of town, and I have some good news. Hopefully, I don't want to announce it to the world, but hopefully there's a big change on the horizon for my family, and it's a change that has been needed for a long time. And once I have 100% fact that it's happening, then I'll talk to you guys about that. But my wife was out of town for this potential event. And when she was traveling, I had to step up, right, and be, you know, daddy on duty, daddy duty for 2 nights. And this is not me complaining. This is just me sharing my experience with that, because it relates to the sleep thing and the excuses, right? It's like I had both boys by myself here on Sunday night and Monday night, and then my wife got home last night. During this time, generally speaking, and I don't know, like, for all of you guys out there that have more than one kid and wife goes out of town, I don't know how you guys address this, but what I'll tell you is, generally speaking, when my wife goes out of town, my 7, almost 8-year-old, he turns 8 on Friday, by the way. We're recording this on a Wednesday, March 22nd. So his birthday's coming up on Friday. My 7, almost 8-year-old is a absolute saint when my wife goes out of town. As soon as she comes back, the whole dynamic changes and he's right back to being the little 8-year-old shit that he is. Right. And so, but anyway, I tell you this because both nights, Colin is in bed with me, kicking me. He's a little bit sick right now. He's got a cough and some little bit of a eye infection. So we're treating that. He's on antibiotics, but he's coughing in my face, kicking me in the back. Wife's out of town. And I'm very grateful for when she's not out of town because she's usually the one that calms him down. So I can go right back to sleep. Well, that was on me this time. So running on fumes on Monday for my chest workout and also running on fumes again on Tuesday. And I still went out and did sprints yesterday. You know that I'm out of the gym on Tuesdays and Thursdays because this arm thing that I'm trying to get to heal. So I still went and did sprints yesterday, reluctantly. Again, probably not on as bad of fumes as you were, but I still got it done, man. And I think, you know, the premise of this whole show right now is really getting, you know, letting guys know that it's okay to get stuck, but it's not okay to stay stuck. You and I have both been stuck before, man. And, you know, we talk about there being no neutral in life, right? You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. And so if you're stuck, we get it, right? If you stay stuck, getting stuck happens. Staying stuck becomes a choice, right? You choose to stay stuck because you know there's a better life out there. You just got to do the work. So just wanted to share that, man, because I totally get it. When you talk about the fumes, and still getting it up and getting it done, you've got some challenging times, as you well know, right? You know what's coming. You know that you've got 6 to 8 months of sleepless nights ahead of you, and you're still going to get it done, right? Your workouts aren't going to be damn near anywhere close to as good as they are now, but you're still going to get it done, right? And so I think that, you know, I really want to unpack that because you and we talk to a lot of excuse makers. We're in the business of talking to guys on the phone all day. And, you know, it's sad to see how many guys, how many dads won't get out of their own way.
Yep. That's exactly the reason why we're sharing these stories and talking about how our lives are no different from yours as a listener. We are literally no different, yet we are in a position where we're happy with how we feel, with how we look, what our health and blood markers look like. And what we want to let you know is that it's attainable and it's achievable. You can too, once you stop making the excuses, right? Because we all know that if you fight for excuses, your prize is you get to keep them. And nobody ever made excuses to the top. That's just not a thing. No. That's not a thing. When people are making excuses and lying and beating around the bush and doing all that stuff, all they're doing is trying to protect their fragile ego. That's really all it is. So guess what? Mm-hmm. Now you have a massive ego backed up by a body you're not proud of with health markers that are so bad that you have to be put on medications or you have to be a fear of a heart attack, which one of those guys we've talked to recently, it was you, Jason.
Yep.
Scared to have a heart attack every day. Well, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? My point, like why I share this is because I want people to realize, because we hear it all, Jason. We hear it all. I'm busy with my job. I'm busy with my personal life. I'm busy dealing with my kids. Mm-hmm. I'm busy doing this, doing that, doing this. It's like, dude, you are the same as us, except we manage a lot more people than you. Why are we able to do something that you're not? It's not because we're special, man. We're not genetic freaks. We don't have 25 hours in a day. We don't have 8 days in a week. We sleep 8 hours too. We have children. We go through the same exact thing. So why is it that I want to ask you that. Why do you believe, Jason, that you and I are in a position where we're happy with our health and our fitness versus some of the other guys that we speak with, man? What is the key distinguishing trait or behavior or whatever it is that you attribute to this fitness success? Why do you think we are here and they're there?
Well, that's a great question, dude. And I think there's a lot of angles that you can go there because, you know, we can get into your why, like how strong is your why and like how, you know, you're sharpening your discipline tool and all these things. But I think at the end of the day, the easiest way that I can summarize that is that we simply just keep showing up every day, right? Like you and I, we've gotten to a place in our lives where we've embraced this as the journey, right? Like it's a never ending journey. And I think where a lot of guys go wrong, okay. And I think you'll agree with me here is like a lot of dads get into a position where, you know, you get married, we'll call it settle down and you have kids. And a lot of dads put on some baby weight with the wife. Their wife wants to eat a bunch of food, right? There's a whole nother factor that you get to deal with, right? She has cravings and shit that she wants. And a lot of dads just go right along with it. And I understand you might gain a little bit of weight while your wife is in that position where, you know, but staying there is unacceptable. And so I think that we've gotten to a place where we've embraced this as a journey. And I think a lot of guys, they look at it as a temporary thing, right? Say you gain 30, 40 pounds, and then you want to get rid of that pretty quickly, right? Like having an additional 40 pounds plus, you're going to feel like shit. Like that's just the reality of it, man. You're going to feel bad. You're going to have low energy levels, all the physiological processes that come along with carrying around excess weight that's not healthy for you. And so when you go into this process mentally, guys say, okay, well, I've gained 50 pounds. Now I need to get rid of the 50 pounds. So what do I need to do that? Right. It's never okay, I gained 50 pounds, but now I need to form a lifestyle that'll help me lose the 50 pounds, but also keep it off long term. I think that's why so many guys fall on their face, because you feel like such shit, right? It builds up over time, because 10 pounds overweight, you're not going to feel like shit. You gain another 10, and this process starts to happen. So as you gain more weight, you feel shittier. The shittier you feel, the quicker you want the weight off, because that's what happened to me. That's why I started going on fucking runs, dude. Like who is 60 pounds overweight that thinks jogging is going to be the way that's going to get it off? And there's a lot of guys that make that mistake, right? I made that mistake.
Surprisingly,
right?
Almost all of them.
In fact, and I'll allude to the story that you mentioned a while ago. The guy that's walking around scared of having a heart attack. He's still trying to run to get rid of the weight. I'm like, dude, that ain't it. Your knees are like watermelons that are going to explode, right? And so I think that a lot of guys, they get desperate. They get into a position where it's like, okay, I got to get rid of it. So that's when you're tempted to turn to the keto and the Whole30 and the 6 weeks to six pack abs, or the MLMs, right? Optavia and the shit that promises you these results. And you just want to feel better. I know the temptation is, right? Like you want to get it off as quickly as possible. Well, during this process, you've never built the elite level habits to keep it off long term, right? You've never spent time creating the lifestyle that's going to work for you. That's what I think you and I do I would say expert level job at, is helping our guys design a lifestyle that's going to be right for them. That's why when we say it's customized, right? Our teachings are very similar to every dude we work with, but every guy's unique situation and set of circumstances is different. And you got to find what's going to work best for you, right? And that's why when we talk about making excuses, dude, like you don't have to do everything that Zach's doing to get healthy. You don't have to do everything that Jason's doing to get healthy. In fact, you might get away with doing half of what I do and half of what you do, and still make significant progress along the way.
So what you're telling me is that people are taking years upon years upon years to slowly put on this weight, only to want to get rid of it immediately. Is that kind of what you're saying here? Because that's what it sounds like.
Logical,
sum it all
right?
up. Yeah. Everybody, look, because we deal with these guys all of the time, and most people expect to change their life around 180 degrees, man. Let me set some realistic expectations for you guys right now. If you are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, we have clients literally throughout that entire range. Okay.
I think 72
between Jason and I.
Yeah.
Yes, our oldest 73, right? Joe. Shout out to Joe, man.
Never too late to start working on a better version of you.
Never, ever, ever too late. What I want you guys to understand, and I say this often, I will say it forever and always, we all have essentially the same potential. We just have different starting points. The deeper you are into your bad habits, depending on your temperament and your threshold and your ability to take on new productive things. So that's very circumstantial. It's very, very individual and subjective. But depending on that, you are going to have to undo these habits and rebuild positive ones. So to set realistic expectations, it's okay if you don't flip your life 180 degrees and all of a sudden you have a fit Instagram and all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, that's the fitness guy. He's working out 7 days a week. That's nonsense, man. That's absolute nonsense. And that's what most people tell you that you need to do. All of a sudden you're like, I want to change my life. They're like, awesome. You are one of us. And they like turn you into a cult. You're eating chicken, broccoli, and rice every day. You're working out all the time. You're doing all these sexy Instagram exercises. That's not really what these people are doing. They're trying to tell you to do all these crazy, sexy things, promising you the world, only for you to look back and be like, man, nothing's really happening here. Well, duh. Because if it took you 10, 20, 30 years to put that weight on, it's not going to come off in 40 days, 30 days, 6 weeks to six pack abs. Like we refer to that. We used to refer to that all the time. 8-week fat blaster boot camp, whatever the hell it is. Look, you might get temporary results on that. And I'm not against those things per se, but here's the reality of it. If you do not change your behaviors, your patterns, your routines, your mindset, you are only going to ever achieve temporary results. And what are temporary results, but ultimately a loss? I will tell you right here, right now, I would much rather be a fat guy my entire life and accept that as my fate than be the guy who works out and I lose a significant amount of weight only to be followed by putting it back on, if not more, like most people do, for people to be like, wow, Zach, you look great. What did you do? Only to see me at the Christmas party and be like, whoa, Zach, what did you do? Yep. You know what I mean? There's nothing worse than yo-yo dieting and seeing and being like proud of what you look like one day. And then a few months down the line, you're absolutely ashamed knowing all eyes are on you, judging like what happened.
There's so deflating, dude. Like, yeah, 100%. It's a sense of frustration, and it's an even bigger source of failure in your mind because you did accomplish great things, but you did it in a way that was not sustainable, and you didn't build the habits that need to be behind that to continue to live that lifestyle. And it's frustrating to me. And I'll go back to this story that you mentioned. Sorry, I got this damn dog, and this guy's, I told you about him, man. He's got something else. He's grabbing shit all the time. Anyway, this story. So, and this guy, we're friends on Facebook. And so he might be tuning in right now. We are streaming this live for you guys that are listening on podcast audio. We do stream. We've started streaming these live on my personal Facebook page. Now, I'm connected with this gentleman, and I had a call with him, and it was very sad for me because you guys know that I come from the ICU, right? I started my career as a registered nurse in the ICU, and that's where I met my beautiful wife. And so I'm very grateful for that. But it was a scary time in my life because, number one, I was not mature and not ready to be working in that environment at a 23-year-old guy who literally just came out of going to fucking raves 2 years ago. All right. So like I was not the guy that should be working, saving dying lives at 23, but it smacked me in the face, dude. It was a taste of reality that really is why I'm here with you guys today, is because it helped me become passionate about helping people avoid that spot. Right. And so I had this call with this guy, and he's 39. He's about to be 40. Told me he turns 40 next month, and he's got 2 kids. And he said he feels like shit all the time. His energy level's in the dumps. He's 5'9". I think he's like 260. So obviously he's got a long way to go to get to a healthy place, right? And, you know, I asked him normal questions that I ask every prospect. I want to be able to make sure that we can help you. And those questions are going to be this, right? Like, does your family support your desire for this? Is your wife on board? Is she going to be supportive? Because the last thing that you need is self-sabotage at home, right? Like, you're trying to go through a very hard journey. And if your wife is wanting to eat pizza every night and influencing you in that way, it's going to be a tough road out for you, right? Like it's a long road. So I want to make sure there's some support at home. I'll also want to make sure that you're financially qualified, right? Like, we have different levels of services. And in order to work with us in the fatherhood, it's not a cheap cookie cutter service. We're there to help you at a high level. And the level of service that we provide and the amount of support and the strong team that we have behind us is insane, right? And that's why our guys do so well. That's why they're so successful, is because we're basically in daily contact with our guys, right? Making sure that you're moving forward and doing well, gaining the momentum that you need on your side. And so I want to make sure you're financially qualified. Also want to make sure that you're truly ready. And that's where this story got sad, is because I asked him, I said, man, what's the reason why you feel like now is a good time? Because like a lot of guys, they'll click on our ads, or they might come into our world and it sounds great, right? But then they get smacked with reality, and it's like, okay, this is going to be hard work. Well, yeah, no shit, dude. Guess what? Anything in life worth doing is hard, right? There's nothing that you've accomplished, and there's nothing that you're proud of in life that was easy for you. Like, nobody can look back and be like, yeah, I'm super proud of that, but it was a fucking piece of cake. Like, those things just don't get said together, right? And so a lot of guys say they're ready, as you well know, but they're not truly ready for change. You have to be ready. And so this guy, so what makes you feel like you're ready now? Like, why is now a good time? Well, I'm walking around feeling like I'm going to have a heart attack every day, and I'm 39 years old and I got 2 kids at home. And I'm like, okay. I also don't feel like I'm leading by example. I'm showing my kids that it's okay to be like this. I'm like, okay, those are definitely, those things sting, right? Number one, I don't want you to walk around feeling like you're going to have a heart attack, because I've literally done chest compressions on a guy his age with his kids watching in the fucking ICU room, dude, hoping and praying that dad was going to pull through. So I'd seen this before. And I offered him to come join us. And he's like, yeah, I'll think about it. I actually asked him, I said, hey man, what do you think? Like, I went over my whole pitch for him and like told him exactly how it goes down. Like, what is that worth to you? And he couldn't give me a number. And most guys can't. It's like, you can't place a number on your health, right? A value on your health. Like, you get one chance at this life. And if you say, well, 10 million, Well, like, dude, I could answer you one better and say, how about 20 million? Like you said, we all have the same amount of potential. So he says, I don't know. I can't put a number on it. I'm like, okay, that's okay. I just, what would a service like that potentially be worth? So he thinks about it. He comes back the next day and I offer him every solution we have. It's like, man, I'm going to pass on this. But I'm like, okay, well, I have this. I have some free resources. I have our free course. I have our free program, 60-day program. What can I get in your hands to make you feel like you're not going to have a heart attack every day, dude? I even have a $10 a month program. I'm like, let me do something to help you. And he comes back and he says, you've already helped me enough. And I'm like, no. I've offered you my help. And all you're doing now is making excuses and staying in your own way. You won't get out of your own way to allow me to help you, to lead by example for your family, improve your health markers, and actually eliminate the fear of having a heart attack every day at 39. It's a fucked up story, dude. And like that shit sinks with me because I think I told you about this, but it was about 2 years ago. I had a prospect that I had a call with who was morbidly obese. And about a year after that call, I saw him on my timeline, just had open heart surgery times 5 vessel replaced, laying in an ICU bed with open heart surgery. And he was in my world. I had an opportunity to help them. So that lives with me. That sits right here on my fucking heart. So now I got this guy, 39, that I'm going to be scrolling for, looking to see if this guy, is he okay? Is he still okay? And the premise of this show is being brutally honest with yourself and taking extreme ownership of your life, right? And we haven't even said those words yet, but I know that when we talk about a solution and we talk about being able to move forward past a scenario like this, it takes brutal honesty, dude, because this guy's just not being honest with himself. If you're telling me, and he told me straight up, I've told you more than I've told my wife ever. I'm like, okay, well, I get that from a lot of guys, right? We don't have a lot of guys in our lives to talk to. When he told me that, I'm like, what are we doing here, dude? You just told me you're scared of having a heart attack every day. I offered you a solution that is significantly less expensive than having a heart attack, and you get your health, right? You have a heart attack, you get to pay for that, and you don't have your health. You come with us, you don't have the heart attack, and you get your health for way cheaper. Just can't make any sense of it, dude. It's fucking maddening to me that some guys just won't get out of their own way.
And it's funny because I have to sometimes talk Jason off of a ledge when he gets worked up about this stuff. But the reality is, because I come from a sales background, right, where I understand that buyers are liars, and sometimes people are going to just say the things to get you off as comfortably as possible because they just don't want to face the reality of what everything is, right?
Hard work is what it is. That's the reality.
But it's very hard sometimes for Jason and I to not get emotional about this stuff, because this is what happens when you sell a service where you actually truly care. Yep. So that's kind of why it happens. But I also have to remind myself sometimes, and Jason as well, like, hey, dude, just like, you know what, on to the next one. If they're not ready, they're not ready. We'll get to them eventually, man. But we just do really want to help people. And that's what happens when you wear your heart on your sleeve, man. So that's what we do. Now, into the mind of an individual like this, man, he knows what needs to be done. He knows he's in the wrong direction. He knows that he needs help. Otherwise, he would never have been in contact with Jason before, man. I've been talking about this a lot lately, but it's just been really at the forefront of my mind lately because of how many people we've been dealing with who want certain things, but aren't willing to put in the work to get there. They're just dreamers. They're just liars. They're just like this guy, right, that we were talking about, right? What's the difference between an adult and a child? It's your ability to distinguish between a logical decision and an emotional one. Children are impulsive. That tells us, and we have so many adults, quote unquote, we'll say biological adults, who are psychologically toddlers.
Act like kids. Yeah.
That's what it is, man. The difference between an adult and a child is a child will be impulsive and do the things that is going to instantly gratify his or her needs immediately to feel good instantaneously. Mm-hmm. Whereas an adult should be able to understand and put into play delayed gratification. And that could be in the form of eating nutritious foods. You're not going to eat nutritious foods and be 50 pounds down. It's going to take some time. You're not going to go to the gym one time and all of a sudden you're jacked. It's going to take a long time. You're not going to all of a sudden go from 4 hours a night of sleeping to 8 hours. It's incremental, slowly happens. It's going to take effort and time. That's the difference between a child and adult. We have too many adults running around with the mindset of a toddler. Now, what's the difference between, going back to what we're talking about, between adult to adult? It's our set of minimum standards. There are different levels to these things, but people don't realize, people just automatically assume I'm 50 years old, I'm old and I'm wise. No, you're not. You're old, you're lazy, you're an excuse maker, and you're never going to do anything significant in your life if you continue on this path. Too many people associate age with wisdom and I have this, and I can make these excuses now because you already know that in society, age is a built-in excuse, Jason.
Yes,
we heard it all before, right?
Yep.
Oh, I'm 50, so this is it. It's time for me to
life's over, bro. You got 30 fucking years left, man.
No. Joe Weber, 73 in our program, crushing it. He just passed what, like
900 workouts or something
insane?
Yeah.
Something insane. It is never too late. But if you accept where you are as your fate, you already lost. You're living life passively. You're just waiting to die. And when you're on your deathbed, you will look back and regret every single thing that you never did, that you always wanted to, because you chose to be a dreamer instead of a doer. You accepted that this was my fate and this is my reality and I'll never change it, versus saying that we live in the greatest time with the most information, with all of the help possible I could ever get. I just didn't want to do the work.
That's it.
It's about taking responsibility for your actions or inactions. One is going to lead you down where you're happy with what you like. The other one, which honestly speaking, I believe most people are on the path of the side where they're going to have a lot of regrets, or actually more regrets than achievements and goals.
I agree with you.
That's just a sad reality of pretty much the world
where we're at as a society, dude. It's really
Yeah.
it's a culture shift in our country that we've seen, and there's a lot of factors. We've gone into this before. There's a lot of factors that contribute to the obesity epidemic in our country, right? Like big pharma, big food, all these things, the food additives, the immediate gratification society, the phones. Like there's so many factors that go into it. But at the end of the day, I think you nailed it, dude. It's about being an adult, right? Going back to this gentleman, he came into the call saying he doesn't feel like he's leading by example and he's afraid of having a heart attack. If you don't take action on those two statements, then you're not acting like a grown-ass man, dude. You're staying in your own way with your family at jeopardy, right? You got 2 kids that desperately need dad around. You're not even 40, and you told me you're scared of having a heart attack every day, but you're not willing to at least take a free program or $10 a month to try to get started. Like, I don't understand it, man. And it like going back to what you said about the emotional part, dude, is like, I've seen guys die right in front of my face. Okay. I've literally put guys in body bags in the ICU, young guys, right? In their 50s in the fucking ICU. And so when I see that, and I know that there's kids involved, like it's the most selfish thing you can do to not accept the help that I just offered you, knowing that it's potentially going to get you from point A to point Z in a manner where you're going to finally have a lifestyle you can enjoy, right? So you talk about being brutally honest with yourself, taking full responsibility for your actions and inactions, and basing that around extreme ownership, right? We did our class last night for the guys on extreme ownership. Jocko Willing, shout out to him. Fantastic book, and love everything about what he teaches. But dude, it's one of the core foundational principles of being a leader, right? If you want to be the ultimate leader in your own life, you've got to lead by example no matter who's watching you, right? And so when you've got kids involved and you're accepting the fact, like I had a lady on Instagram today, I made a post about something I said, I think I said, when we're born, we look like our parents. When we die, we look like our choices. And she came back, she said, powerful post. And I came back and I was like, yeah, it's I said, thanks, yada, yada. We have some small talk. She goes, I'm just now starting to work on my health again. I let my business I put my business first and my health took a back seat. My response to her was this: it's okay to get into a bad spot. It's not okay to accept it and stay there. And the fact that you're now taking action because you have enough self-awareness to recognize that you were making excuses and that you need to manage your time better so that you can make your health a priority and excel in business. That's the number one factor that matters. That's all that matters, is that you're currently actively working on it. Again, it's okay to get stuck. It's not okay to stay stuck. You and I tell the guys all the time, it's not who you are. It's simply where you're at. The guys out there that are willing to accept complacency and stay stuck, right? That's the exact opposite of taking extreme ownership.
Yep. I think one thing that a lot of people don't think is possible in society nowadays is that you can have it all. Because you can have a successful business or career. You can have a great relationship with your wife. You can have a great relationship with your children, and you can have a great physique and be very healthy. Sometimes it just requires a little bit of external help from other people. And sometimes, and this is a whole other topic I won't get into about being reactive versus proactive, right? Yep. But that's really what it all is at the end of the day. Proactivity versus reactivity, understanding the difference between a child mentality and adult mentality, and then understanding the difference between one person and another, because our health and our fitness and our success is literally just byproducts of our decisions that we make every single day.
Every day. Yep.
And every decision that we make, and this is why we're so big on mindset, is because every decision that you make is going to either change you 1 degree in the right direction or 1 degree in the wrong direction. And the more degrees you could change it in the right or wrong direction, the more exponential your results are going to become over the course of time. People don't realize that. They try to do too much too soon instead of making the slow changes in the right directions that they need. So this is why I
got to get that compounding effect working for you and not against you, because it will work against you too. Just like you talked about, you are going to build unraveling of the habits, right?
100%. And this is the reality is you're going to build momentum no matter what. It's going to be in the right direction or it's going to be in the wrong direction. There's no such thing as just cruising. That's it. So the reality is, if you go in the right direction, you're getting healthier, you're getting fitter, you're doing better in your career in terms of performance or at your job. Or at your business, I should say, with your family and all that good stuff. And on the other hand, you're doing all the opposite things where you're telling yourself, I'm going to do this, but you never do. I'm going to start on Monday. I'm going to do this. What happens there? It just manifests itself into just a negative spiral of just lack of
every time you say you're going to do it on Monday, the excuse gets easier and easier. And that's what when you say momentum's going to go one way or the other, right? Like when you make that excuse 6 weeks in a row, well, that excuse just became very easy to make. So you're building habits, right? You are building habits no matter whether you like it or not. It just might not be a good habit.
Like it or not, man. Yeah. Exactly. So a lot of people, they're going to lose their self-esteem and their confidence. And guess what? That's going to be even more debilitating mentally. So you're going to even do more things that are going to hurt it because you're looking for an instant gratification hit because you have the mind of a child.
Yeah.
So
dopamine hits, man. I need that sugar.
Exactly. So instead of being like, if you took a step back and you're like, wait a minute, I feel like crap. I look like crap. I don't look like what I like what I see. An adult will take a step back and be like, I should go to the gym or I should eat something that's healthier.
Yep.
But somebody who is just not in the right direction,
living reactively,
is going to be like, hit me with that ice cream. Let me get that Rocky Road. Let me get that double fudge brownie. Give me the Pizookie.
I want that quick little sugar hit.
They want
Make me feel good.
Exactly. They want 5 minutes of joy for a full day's worth of regret. And that is the mentality that you and a child share. So if you share that mentality and you fall victim to this, you need some help. I'm just going to call it what it is, dude. And we are your guys. And if you don't want to get help, guess what? Good luck in life, spinning your circles, going nowhere fast, but going definitely in the wrong direction. You're going to go nowhere fast, but you're definitely not on the right side of the fence.
No,
I'll tell you that right now, man. If you do not differentiate your mindset from that of a toddler's, you will never go anywhere significant, man. And that's what everybody has the potential to do great things in life, but you have to make great decisions first or you'll never have a chance.
You nailed it, dude. And I think this is a great place to close. I tell you, man, from what I gathered from this podcast is number one is extreme ownership, right? Like we talked about, taking full responsibility for your actions and inactions and getting brutally honest with yourself. Until you can get brutally honest with yourself, that I'm talking about that voice inside of you where you know what the true core issue is, right? Brutal honesty so that you can actually accept responsibility, stop pointing the finger and playing the blame game. And now everything moving forward is your fault. So extreme ownership. Don't be like the guy that I told you. And like Zach said, we might be your guys, but if we're not, and you do need help, go get some help, dude. Don't be like the guy that I talked to who is accepting the fact that he's going to walk around scared of having a heart attack every day, knowing there's help out there, but is refusing to help. Don't be that guy, right? And hold yourself accountable. Like, don't act like a child. You guys know that we're here and we do show some tough love at times. But at the end of the day, man, this is what you need to hear. If you're in a position where you're stuck right now, like sometimes hearing it from other men is what you need to hear, because the reality is Zach and I are getting up doing the same shit every day. Right? We're not making excuses. He talked about running on fumes. I talked about running on fumes. We don't love to go to the gym every time it's going to the gym. We get up and we get it done because we take extreme ownership and we know that we've got kids that are watching our every move. So you guys get out there this week, go get better this week. Always lead by example. Today is Momentum Monday. You can't make an excuse on Momentum Monday. Lay the foundation for the week this week, and we'll see you guys in our next episode. Take care.